Nam sat on the edge of the rice paddy, his bare feet muddy and swinging over the canal's edge. The rice fields stretched endlessly before him, glistening under a blood-red sunset, the breeze carrying the faint scent of ripening grain. 17 years old, with neatly cropped hair tousled by the wind, he wore a faded t-shirt with worn shoulders. In his hand, he twirled a dried stalk of rice, as if looking for something to focus on. Nam wasn't the type to sit still, but on afternoons like this, he liked coming here, where only the chirping of insects and the gentle trickle of water in the canal kept him company. Nam grew up in this small village, where everyone knew each other, from old Ba selling sizzling pancakes at the head of the lane to Sister Hai patching bicycles at the far end. His house sat on the edge of the village, a weathered old tile-roofed home with leaks every rainy season. His father had died when Nam was little, leaving his mother to raise him and his youngest sister alone by selling vegetables at the market. Nam wasn't a top student, but he was sharp, the kind of sharp that came from reading people and listening to stories. His mother often said he was old for his age because of the way he'd sit quietly, eyes staring off as if pondering something far bigger than their little village. "Nam, you're sitting there like an old man again." "Huh?" A voice from afar startled him. He looked up to see Hung, his best friend since elementary school, walking over, rubber sandals slapping against the dirt path. Hung was broad-shouldered, skin darkened from days under the sun, his grin wide as if nothing in the world could trouble him. Nam shrugged, plucked a rice stalk, and held it to his nose. "Just watching the fields. Don't you think they look beautiful?" Hung plopped down beside him, grabbed a small pebble, and tossed it into the canal, sending ripples across the surface. "Beautiful? You come here every day, looking like you've lost your soul. Just tell me what's going on. Stop keeping it to yourself." Nam gave a faint smile, eyes still fixed on the fields, where the sunset was slowly fading. "Nothing much. It's just, I've been having strange dreams lately." Hung raised an eyebrow, picked up another pebble, and threw it harder. "Strange dreams? What? You've been dreaming about land from next door or something?" Nam shook his head, hesitation flickering in his eyes. He wasn't sure if he should say it. These dreams weren't like the teenage jokes Hung usually teased about. They felt heavy, like someone standing in the shadows, watching him, whispering words he couldn't quite make out. But that feeling, cold down his spine, lingered even after he woke. "Not that kind of dream." Nam paused, snapping the stalk in his hands. "I dream of a girl. She's wearing white, standing at the end of this very field. Every time I try to get closer, she disappears." Hung stopped throwing pebbles and turned to Nam, his expression half curious, half skeptical. "A girl in white? Man, you've been watching too many ghost movies. Or maybe you've got a crush." "Huh?" Nam chuckled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "You think I have time for that? I'm not joking. The feeling in the dream, it's so real. Like I'm standing right here in the fields. But it's pitch dark, and she's just there, staring at me." Hung scratched his head and shrugged. "You're probably just sleep-deprived. Your mom been making you stay up late studying again?" Nam didn't answer right away. He stared at the stalk in his hands, breaking off another piece, as if searching for the right words. His mom did nag him about studying, but these dreams had nothing to do with homework. They'd started a few weeks ago, after he passed the old shrine at the entrance of the village. The shrine was worn down, covered in moss, and no one had burned incense there for ages. But that day, Nam had felt like someone was watching him from inside, even though he swore he saw nothing but darkness. "Come on, let's grab something to eat." Hung got up and brushed the dirt from his pants. "I'm starving. How about noodles at Aunt Tu's place? My treat." Nam nodded and stood, but his eyes still flicked toward the fields. There, where the sunset had just faded, he caught a glimpse of something white flitting past, swift as a gust of wind. He blinked, thinking it was just his imagination, but his heartbeat quickened. "Nam, hurry up," Hung called, already a few steps ahead. Nam took a deep breath, trying to shake off the unease. "Yeah, I'm coming." He followed Hung, but in his mind, the image of the girl in white lingered, like an ink stain that couldn't be erased. They walked along the dirt road back to the village. the moon beginning to peek through the clouds. The chorus of crickets blended with Hung's cheerful chatter. But Nam barely listened, nodding absently while his gaze kept drifting toward the darkening fields. At Aunt Tu's stall, the dim glow of oil lamps lit the old wooden tables. The rich aroma of noodle soup rose from a pot boiling steadily. Nam and Hung sat across from each other, each with a steaming bowl in front of them. Hung took a slurp, sighing with satisfaction. "Man, this is so good. I could eat this every day and never get tired of it." Nam stirred his noodles, gazed distant. "Yeah, good." Hung frowned and set his chopsticks down. "What's wrong with you? You've been out of it all evening. Those dreams really getting to you?" Nam exhaled and put his chopsticks on the table. "I don't know, Hung. I just feel like something's not right. Like something's happening, and I can't explain it." Hung nodded, though it was clear he wasn't fully convinced. "Eat up. Tomorrow we'll go fishing at the river. Clear your head. If you keep overthinking, you'll lose it." Nam smiled, but it was a forced one. He picked up his chopsticks, trying to focus on the noodles. But in his mind, the image of the girl in white came back, clearer than ever. She said nothing, just stood there, long hair covering her face, as if waiting for something. That night, Nam lay on his bamboo bed in the small room, the electric fan humming steadily in his ears. His little sister, Lin, was fast asleep on the mat beside him, mumbling something in her dreams. Nam stared at the ceiling, where the cracks spread like roads leading somewhere far away. He closed his eyes, trying to sleep, but the uneasy feeling clung to him. Then he heard it, a whisper, soft but clear, like wind slipping through the door's cracks. Nam, the sound made him snap his eyes open. The room was still pitch black, lit only by a faint moonbeam filtering through the window. He sat up, scanning the room, heart pounding. "Lin?" Nam called quietly, thinking maybe his sister was talking in her sleep. But Lin kept sleeping soundly, not moving at all. The whisper came again, this time clearer, as if right beside his ear. "Nam, come out here?" Nam swallowed, sweat forming on his forehead. He got up, stepping carefully to avoid making noise. The wooden door creaked as he opened it. Outside, darkness covered the whole village, with only a pale moonlight casting over the dirt road leading to the fields. He stood there, hand gripping the latch, looking toward the rice fields. There, under the moonlight, a faint white figure stood silently, as if waiting for him. Nam froze in the doorway, his hand still clutching the latch, eyes locked on the white silhouette under the moon. The night breeze carried an unnatural chill, making the rice stalks sway as though whispering secrets. The figure didn't move, but Nam could feel its gaze, even though he couldn't see the face hidden beneath the long hair. His heart pounded wildly, ready to burst out of his chest. He wanted to close the door, go back inside, pretend he hadn't seen anything, but his legs wouldn't move, as if something was holding him in place. "Nam?" A small voice from inside made him jump. Lin stood at the doorway, eyes still heavy with sleep, clutching her old cloth doll. "What are you doing out here? It's late." Nam turned and forced a smile. "Nothing. I just came out to feel the breeze. Go back to sleep." Lin frowned and glanced toward the fields, but her young eyes saw nothing but darkness. "You're acting weird. Don't stay out here too long, you'll catch a cold." She yawned and went back inside, her tiny footsteps pattering on the dirt floor. Nam let out a breath and looked back at the fields. The white figure was gone, as if it had never been there. He blinked, wondering if he'd imagined it. But that whisper, that icy shiver down his spine, it had been too real. He shut the door, slid the latch firmly into place, and returned to bed. Sleep didn't come easily. All night, he lay listening to the insects, the wind, and every now and then, he thought he heard that whisper calling his name again. The next morning, Nam woke with dark circles under his eyes. His mother was outside in the yard, stoking the fire. She glanced at him as he stepped out, holding a steaming bowl of porridge. "Why do you look so pale? Nam? Stayed up late studying again?" Nam sat down on the old rattan chair, shaking his head. "No, I just didn't sleep well." His mother, Lan, paused in fanning the fire, her eyes filled with concern. "You're grown now. You need to take care of your health. If you keep this up, I'll be worried sick. Eat your porridge. I made some duck eggs for you and Lynn. Nam nodded and took a spoonful. But the sweetness of the broth couldn't chase away the heaviness inside him. He wanted to tell her about the dreams, about the white figure from last night, but he didn't. She already had enough to worry about with the market and raising the two of them. He didn't want her thinking he'd lost his mind or something. Nam, wanna go fishing? Hung's voice rang from the end of the alley. His best friend appeared, a homemade fishing rod slung over his shoulder and a battered plastic bucket in hand. I treated you to noodles yesterday. Today let's switch it up, grilled fish. Nam smiled and stood up. Yeah, let me just finish eating. Wait a sec. Lan looked at Hung and shook her head with a small laugh. You, always showing up early to drag him off. Don't get Nam into trouble. Hung grinned and scratched his head. Don't worry, Auntie. We're good boys, just fishing. No trouble. Nam finished his porridge quickly, feeling a little lighter thanks to Hung's carefree energy. He grabbed the old conical hat from the wall and headed out with Hung toward the small river a few kilometers away. The morning village road was peaceful, with sparrows chirping and the scent of ripe rice mixing with the earthy smell of damp soil. But Nam couldn't fully enjoy it. Every time they passed the old shrine at the village entrance, goosebumps prickled his skin. He glanced at it, the weathered shrine, covered in moss, its wooden gate rotting away. No one had lit incense there in ages. But today, Nam noticed a tiny flicker inside, like candlelight. Hung, do you see something in that shrine? Nam stopped, pointing toward it. Hung squinted. See what? That place is abandoned. Why? Thinking about your dream again? Nam shook his head and kept walking. No, must have been my imagination. But it wasn't. He was certain he'd seen that light, even if just for a moment. It reminded him of the dream, and of the white figure from last night. He pushed the thought away, focusing instead on Hung's chatter about the big fish he'd caught before. Along the riverbank, Nam and Hung sat on a large rock, their fishing rods propped beside them. The river flowed quietly, reflecting the soft light of the morning sun. Hung whistled a cheerful tune while checking the bait. If we catch a big snakehead fish today, I'll grill it for you, add some chili salt, and it'll be perfect. Nam smiled, feeling a little more at ease. You talk like the fish are just waiting for you to catch them. Hung smirked and tossed a pebble into the water. I've got skills, don't believe me? Anyway, seriously, what's going on with you? You've been spaced out lately. What kind of dream is stressing you out this much? Nam hesitated, his grip on the rod tightening. He wanted to tell him, but feared Hung would think he was crazy. Finally, he sighed and decided to be honest. I'm not joking, Hung. I've been dreaming of a girl in white, standing in the fields. Every night, she calls my name, and last night, I actually saw her, out in the fields. Hung stopped whistling and turned toward Nam, his expression more serious than usual. Wait, for real? You saw her in real life? Not in a dream? Nam nodded, eyes fixed on the water. Yeah, I was standing outside my house and saw her at the edge of the fields under the moonlight. I called Lynn out, but by then she was gone. Hung scratched his chin, thinking, that's creepy. Are you sure? You know, in our village, people tell ghost stories all the time, especially about that shrine at the village entrance. My grandma says someone died there ages ago, but no one knows exactly what happened. Nam frowned and looked at him. Died? Who? How come you've never told me this before? Hung shrugged, lowering his voice. I'm not sure. Grandma only said it was a young woman who died near the shrine. A long time ago. People say her spirit never found peace, wandering around that place. But you know how old folks' stories go, half truth, half superstition. A chill ran down Nam's spine, even under the glaring sun. You think, the girl in my dreams is? Hung laughed and patted Nam's shoulder. Come on, don't freak yourself out. You've probably just watched too many horror movies. Let's fish and stop overthinking. But Nam didn't laugh. He stared at the water, watching his own reflection ripple and distort with the small waves. It felt like something was watching him from beneath the surface, though he told himself it was just his imagination. Or was it? By dusk, Nam and Hung returned to the village with a plastic bucket holding a few small snakehead fish. Hung chatted excitedly about how he'd grill them, but Nam only nodded, his mind still replaying their conversation by the river. Passing the shrine, he glanced at it again. This time there was no light, but he felt a sudden wave of cold air, as if someone had just brushed past him. When they reached home, Nam saw his mother sitting in the yard mending a fishing net. She looked up and smiled. "Caught some fish? Bring them here. I'll make sour soup." Nam nodded, handing her the bucket. "Yeah, just a few small ones. Go ahead and make it. Lin and I love sour soup." Lan stood and carried the bucket into the kitchen, but then turned back, eyeing him closely. "Are you all right? You've been so quiet lately. If something's wrong, tell me, don't keep it to yourself." Nam hesitated, then shook his head. "I'm fine, Mom, just a bit tired." She didn't press further, though her eyes were full of concern. Nam went inside and saw Lin playing with her doll. She looked up and grinned. "Did you catch fish, Nam? We're having sour soup tonight, right?" He ruffled her hair and smiled. "Yeah, we are. I know you love it." But his smile didn't last. As night fell, the uneasy feeling returned. Nam sat on the porch, staring out at the fields, where the darkness lay thick like a curtain. The chirping of insects filled the air, but beneath it, he heard that familiar whisper again, "Nam, come out here." He shot to his feet, heart pounding, looking toward the fields. He saw her again, under the silver moonlight, closer than the night before. She stood in the middle of the field, her white dress fluttering, long hair covering her face. Nam clenched his fists, feeling as if something was pulling him toward her, though his feet stayed rooted to the spot. He stood frozen on the porch, eyes locked on the figure in white. The pale moonlight made her dress almost glow, but her face remained hidden beneath her flowing black hair. The whisper echoed in his mind, "Nam, come out here," like an irresistible call. He dug his nails into his palms, forcing himself to stay grounded. The night wind carried the scent of rice and damp earth, but the cold he felt wasn't from the breeze, it came from something deeper. As if the very air was trembling. "Nam?" Lin's voice from inside broke the spell. She stood in the doorway, eyes wide, clutching her doll. "Why are you standing out here again? Mom says to come to bed, it's late." Nam turned, forcing a strained smile. "Yeah, I'm coming. You go ahead. Don't worry." Lin glanced toward the fields, but her young eyes saw only darkness. "Don't stay out here, it's cold." I'm scared of ghosts." She stopped, as if realizing she'd said something she shouldn't. Nam frowned and stepped closer. "Scared of ghosts? Who told you ghost stories?" Lin shook her head, holding her doll tighter. "No one. I just heard some ladies at the market say this field, someone died here. A long time ago. They said you shouldn't go out at night, especially near the shrine." Nam felt his heart skip a beat. He patted her head, keeping his voice calm. "Those are just stories. Don't think about it. Go to bed. I'll be in soon." Lin nodded, but her eyes still showed worry. She went back inside, leaving Nam alone. He glanced at the fields one last time. The white figure was gone, but the feeling of being watched clung to him like a shadow. He shut the door and slid the latch, but sleep never came. All night, he lay listening to the wind and insects, waiting for a sound he both dreaded and longed to hear. The next morning, Nam woke up early to help his mother prepare vegetables for the market. Morning sunlight filtered through the mango tree in the yard, making the dew on the leaves glisten. Lan sat tying bunches of water spinach, muttering under her breath as she calculated her market money. Nam sat beside her, his hands quickly picking through the vegetables, though his mind was far away. "You're quiet again today, Nam?" Lan paused and looked at him. "You've been acting strange lately. If something's going on, tell me, don't make me worry." Nam hesitated, his hands slowing. "It's nothing, Mom, I just haven't been sleeping well." Lan sighed and set the bunch of vegetables down. "You're just like your father when he was young, always keeping things bottled up. If there's something wrong, say it. I won't scold you. You're grown, but you're still my son." Nam smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He wanted to tell her about the white figure, the whispers, but he was afraid she'd think he'd lost his mind. "I know, Don't worry, Mom, I'm fine. She studied him for a moment, then nodded and went back to tying vegetables. All right then, I'll come home early today to cook lunch for you and Lynn. Don't wander too far, okay? Yes, ma'am, Nam replied, though his gaze drifted toward the fields, where sunlight spread over the tips of the rice plants. By midday, Nam met Hung at Aunt Tu's tea stall, a place where villagers often gathered. The stall was just a leaf-covered shelter with a few old plastic tables. But it was always busy. Hung sat across from Nam, holding a glass of iced tea, sweat beading on his forehead from biking over. You look like a ghost today, Hung said, taking a sip. What now? Dreaming about that girl in white again? Nam nodded, turning his glass slowly on the table. Not just dreaming, Hung. Last night I saw her, in the fields. For real, she called my name. Hung frowned and set his glass down. You're serious? You saw her clearly? Or was it too dark and you imagined it? Nam shook his head, lowering his voice. I didn't imagine it. She was standing in the middle of the fields, wearing white, her hair covering her face. I heard her calling my name, clear as if she was right next to me. Hung grew thoughtful, for once not making a joke. That's creepy. Have you told anyone? Your mom, or someone else? Nam shook his head, eyes fixed on the table. I'm afraid people will think I'm crazy. But I feel like she wants something from me. I don't know what it is, but it's not normal. Hung scratched his head and glanced toward the dirt road outside. I heard my grandma say there's something strange about the shrine at the village entrance. Long ago, a girl died there. No one knows exactly why. People say her spirit never found peace and shows up at night. You think it's connected? Nam's heartbeat quickened. I don't know, but every time I walk past that shrine, I get chills. Yesterday I saw light inside it, like candlelight. Hung's eyes widened slightly. Candlelight? You sure? That shrine's been abandoned for years. Who'd light a candle there? Nam shrugged, trying to sound calm. I'm not sure, but I want to find out. I can't stand this feeling anymore. Hung, it's like someone's following me all the time. Hung studied him, a mix of concern and curiosity in his gaze. What are you gonna do? Ask the elders in the village? Or, are you thinking of actually going to the shrine? Nam stayed silent, his hand tightening around the glass. The thought of going there both terrified and intrigued him. He didn't want to believe in ghosts, but what he'd seen and heard felt far too real. I don't know yet, but I have to do something. I can't keep living in fear. Hung nodded and patted his shoulder. All right, if you want to look into it, I'll go with you. Just don't do anything stupid. I don't want to be running from ghosts. Nam laughed, feeling lighter for the first time that day. Thanks, I'll think about it. That afternoon, Nam decided to walk to the shrine. Hung was busy helping his father fix bicycles, so Nam went alone. The dirt path leading there was silent except for the chirping of sparrows and the rustle of wind through the bamboo. The shrine soon came into view, small, weathered, its walls covered in moss. The wooden gate was rotting, and inside was nothing but darkness. Nam stopped in front of it, heart racing. He took a deep breath, stepped closer, and peered in. There was no candlelight, nothing but shadows and the damp smell of age. But as he turned to leave, a cold gust swept over him, making the hairs on his neck stand up. He heard a whisper, soft but distinct. Nam, come here? He spun around, but saw no one. The whisper came again, closer this time, right behind him. Nam, help me? Nam stumbled backward, tripping over a stone and nearly falling. He turned and ran all the way back to the village, not daring to look behind him. When he reached home, breathless and drenched in sweat, Lan looked up from the kitchen, where she was cooking. Where'd you go? You look pale as a sheet. Nam shook his head, trying to keep his voice steady. Just went for a run. Mom, nothing. But as he sat down and glanced out the window, he saw the rice fields bathed in the orange glow of sunset. And there, far away, stood the white figure again, perfectly still, as if waiting for him. His fists clenched, and it felt like the whole world had narrowed until it was just him and that silent, unshakable figure. Nam sat curled up on the rattan chair on the porch, his eyes fixed on the rice fields sinking into the glow of sunset. The white figure was still there, hazy under the red-orange light, like a blot of ink bleeding across the peaceful painting of the countryside. The whisper, "Nam, help me," still echoed in his mind, though now he wasn't sure if it was real or just the lingering echo of the fear from earlier that afternoon. He clenched his fists, nails digging deep into his palms, trying to keep himself grounded, but the feeling of being watched, of being pulled into something far bigger than himself, refused to leave. "Nam, come eat." His mother's voice from the kitchen pulled him out of his thoughts. Lan stood in the doorway, holding a pair of chopsticks, worry in her eyes when she saw his pale face. "What's wrong with you? You've been out of it since you came home." Nam stood, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, Mom, just a little tired." "What smells so good?" Lan frowned but didn't press. "Sour snakehead fish soup from the fish you caught yesterday, with some boiled greens. Come on, Lin's waiting." Nam nodded and stepped inside. Lin was already sitting at the table, her eyes lighting up at the steaming bowl of sour soup. "Nam, this soup is so good. Mom made it just the way I like," she beamed, stirring her spoon in the broth. Nam sat down and picked up his bowl of rice, but his gaze kept drifting toward the window, where the fields had already been swallowed by darkness. "Yeah, it's really good. Mom's cooking is the best," he replied flatly, as if on autopilot. Lan sat across from him, watching. "Eat properly. Stop looking around. If something's wrong, tell me, don't hide it." Nam swallowed a spoonful of rice, keeping his tone calm. "I'm fine, Mom. I've just been thinking a lot lately." Lin looked up, a grain of rice still stuck to her lip. "Thinking about what? School stuff? Or, do you like someone?" "Hee hee." Nam chuckled, ruffling her hair. "You little brat, like someone. My foot. Eat up. Stop teasing me." But his smile quickly faded. He couldn't tell his mom or Lin about the white figure, the whispers, or the old shrine. He didn't want them to worry, or worse, think he'd lost his mind. He finished his meal quickly, his chest heavy, then excused himself to sit on the porch to get some fresh air. That night, the sky was moonless, with only a few faint stars peeking through the pitch-black expanse. Nam sat on the rattan chair, twirling a dried stalk of rice in his fingers out of habit. The sound of crickets mixed with the wind, but beneath it, he could still hear the whisper, soft but sharp. "Nam, come here." He shot to his feet, staring at the fields. There was no white figure, but he could feel its presence, like an invisible shadow clinging to every breath. "Nam, you're still up?" Hung's voice called from the end of the lane. His best friend walked over, carrying an old flashlight, its beam sweeping across the dirt path. "I came to see if you wanted to catch crickets tomorrow morning. But here you are sitting like you're possessed." Nam let out a breath, relieved to see him. "You scared me. We're going cricket hunting tomorrow? Early in the morning?" Hung sat beside him, switching off the flashlight so darkness wrapped around them both. "Yeah, early, when the crickets are still bunched up in the grass. But hey, about that shrine you mentioned earlier, I've been thinking about it all evening. You really heard something?" Nam nodded, lowering his voice. "Yeah, I heard it clearly." Hung, "Nam, help me," like she was standing right behind me. I ran straight home, didn't dare look back. Hung let out a low whistle, half joking, half serious. "That's creepy as hell. You think it was actually a ghost? Or maybe you're just so stressed you're hearing things?" Nam shook his head, eyes locked on the fields. "I don't know, but I'm not imagining it. Hung, I saw her, not just in dreams, out there. For real." She was standing in the middle of the field, wearing white, hair covering her face. Hung stayed quiet for a moment, then patted his shoulder. "All right, stop overthinking. Tomorrow, come catch crickets with me. Clear your head. Keep obsessing over ghosts, and you really will lose it." Nam smiled faintly, though it wasn't genuine. "Yeah, let's go. Pick me up early." Hung nodded, turned his flashlight back on, and stood. "Okay, get some sleep. Don't sit out here all night, it's cold. I'm heading back." Nam watched him disappear into the darkness, the flashlight beam shrinking along the dirt road. He stayed seated, forcing himself not to look toward the fields, but the feeling of being watched never left. Finally, he went inside and locked the door carefully. But when he lay down in bed, he He could still hear the whisper, like a lullaby without words. The next morning, Nam was woken by the sound of Hung banging on the door. "Nam, get up. It's morning already. If we don't go now, we'll miss the crickets." Rubbing his eyes, Nam dragged himself out of bed. Lin was still fast asleep. Clutching her doll tightly, he slipped on an old t-shirt, put on his conical hat, and stepped into the yard. Hung was standing there with a bamboo cricket cage in hand, grinning from ear to ear. "You're slow as a turtle. Come on, the best ones are out in the grass by the river." Nam nodded and followed Hung. The village road was peaceful in the early morning, sunlight filtering through the trees and glinting off the dewdrops. But as they passed the shrine, a chill ran down Nam's spine. He glanced over, and this time, he saw a faint white blur in the corner of the shrine. Like a shadow slipping past. He froze, heart pounding. "Hung, do you see that?" Nam pointed at the shrine, his voice trembling. Hung turned, squinting. "See what? It looks the same as always. You're just letting it get to you again." "Huh?" Nam shook his head, trying to steady himself. "No, maybe I imagined it. Let's go." But he knew he hadn't imagined anything. That white blur, brief as it was, made him more certain than ever about the existence of the girl in white. He walked faster, avoiding another glance back, though the feeling of being watched clung to him. By the grassy bank near the river, Nam and Hung crouched low, using thin bamboo sticks to gently coax crickets into the cage. The chorus of chirping mixed with the soft sound of flowing water. Hung was focused, muttering to himself, "This one's huge. If I catch it, I'll beat Tiz prize from last week." Nam chuckled, trying to match Hung's carefree mood. "You care more about cricket fights than school. Aren't you afraid your dad will scold you?" Hung smirked, sliding a cricket into the cage. "School can wait. Life's long, no rush." "Hey, about the shrine, I've been thinking, how about tonight we check it out? See if you really saw something." Nam froze, looking at him. "You're serious? Go to the shrine tonight? You're not scared?" Hung laughed loudly and thumped his chest. "Scared of what? With you there, no ghost would dare touch me. Besides, I'm curious. If there's a ghost, I want to see it." Nam hesitated, but the thought of facing the white figure filled him with both fear and the urge to know the truth. "All right, after my mom's asleep. But don't you dare let me go alone." Hung grinned, raising his hand. "Deal, I'll come get you. Bring a flashlight, or you'll trip and break your neck." That night, Nam waited until his mother and Lin were sound asleep, then quietly slipped out the door. Hung was waiting at the end of the lane, flashlight in hand, his face showing both excitement and nerves. "Ready, Nam? Let's go before I change my mind." Nam nodded, gripping his father's old flashlight tightly. "Yeah, but if anything weird happens, you run first. I'm not taking responsibility." Hung snorted, patting Nam's shoulder. "You're such a coward. Let's go. The hero of the village has your back." They walked along the dirt path, flashlight beams sweeping across bamboo groves and rice fields. When the shrine came into view, Nam felt his heartbeat quicken. Darkness wrapped around it, the air silent except for the wind whistling through. He stopped, glancing at Hung. "You sure you want to go in?" Hung swallowed hard but nodded. "Yeah, let's check. If nothing's there, you can finally stop obsessing." Nam took a deep breath and stepped toward the gate. He aimed the flashlight inside, the weak beam landing on an old altar covered in dust. No candlelight, no white figure, but the air felt heavy, as if someone was breathing right behind him. Then he heard it, clearer than ever before. "Nam, help me." He spun around, shining the flashlight behind him, but all he saw was Hung, eyes wide. "Did you hear that, Hung?" Nam whispered, voice shaking. Hung shook his head, but his eyes betrayed his fear. "No, but I feel freezing cold." "Nam, maybe we should go." Before Nam could answer, a cold gust swept past, making his flashlight flicker. In that split second of dim light, he saw her, the girl in white, standing right in front of him. Her long hair covering her face, one hand reaching toward him as if to touch. Nam screamed, stumbled back, and grabbed Hung, pulling him away from the shrine without looking back. They didn't stop running until they reached Nam's house. Both gasping for air, Hung grabbed Nam's arm, his voice trembling. You saw something, didn't you? I didn't see her, but something felt wrong. Nam sank to the ground, clutching his head. She was right in front of me. Hung, I'm not crazy. She's real. Under the dim street light, Nam looked up toward the rice fields. There, far away, the white figure stood again, motionless, as if waiting for something. Nam collapsed onto the ground in front of his house, breathing hard, sweat running down his back despite the cool night air. Hung stood beside him, still gripping the flashlight, eyes wide as he stared toward the rice fields. The white figure was still there, hazy under the weak streetlight, like a stray glimmer of light lost in the darkness. Nam felt his heart pounding so hard it might burst. The whisper, "Nam, help me," still echoed in his mind, even though now the only sounds were the steady hum of crickets and the wind sweeping across the fields. Hung swallowed, his voice trembling. "Nam, you really saw her?" I didn't see anything, but I swear, there's something wrong with that shrine." My whole body went cold. Nam clutched his head, trying to steady his breathing. "I saw her clearly. Hung, she was right in front of me in the shrine, white dress, long hair, reaching out like she wanted to grab me. I'm not crazy." Hung sat down beside him, placing the flashlight on the ground. "I believe you, but what now? Are you going to tell your mom? Or ask old Ba at the end of the village? He knows a lot about the old days." Nam shook his head, eyes still locked on the distant white figure. "I don't want my mom to worry. And even if I did tell her, who would believe me? They'd think I was possessed or something." Hung nodded slowly, though his eyes were still unsettled. "So what then? You're just going to let her haunt you forever?" Nam stayed silent, plucking a blade of grass from the ground. He didn't know what to do. He was scared, but at the same time, curious. That whisper, that hidden gaze from behind the curtain of hair, it felt like it was pulling him into a secret he couldn't turn his back on. "I want to find out. Hung, I need to know who she is and what she wants." Hung frowned, lowering his voice. "You're crazy. Why get involved in this? My grandma always said restless spirits aren't simple. If she wants something from you, aren't you afraid she'll drag you with her?" Nam looked at Hung, his eyes steady even though his voice still trembled. "I'm scared, but I can't stand this anymore. It's like I'm stuck between two worlds. If I don't find out the truth, I'll never have peace." Hung sighed, standing and brushing dirt off his pants. "Fine, it's up to you, but whatever you decide, I'm going with you. Don't let me find out you've snuck to the shrine alone again. Got it?" Nam smiled faintly, feeling a little lighter. "Thanks, Hung. I'll think it over tomorrow before we do anything." Hung nodded, picked up his flashlight. "All right, get some sleep. I'm heading home before my mom yells at me. See you at Aunt Tu's place tomorrow, then we'll talk." Nam watched Hung disappear into the darkness, the flashlight beam bobbing along the dirt path. He stood, glancing toward the fields one last time. The white figure was gone, but the feeling of being watched clung to him. He went inside, locked the door, and lay down, but sleep never came. All night, he heard the wind, the crickets, and, every so often, that same whisper, like a constant reminder. The next morning, Nam woke late, his head heavy from lack of sleep. His mother had already gone to the market, leaving a pot of mung bean porridge on the stove. Lin sat in the yard playing with her doll, humming softly. Nam stepped outside with a bowl of porridge and sat beside her. "You're not going to school this morning, Lin?" Lin looked up and grinned. "It's Saturday. Silly. I have the day off. Eat your porridge, Mom made it so good." Nam nodded and took a spoonful, but the sweetness of the mung beans did nothing to settle him. He glanced at Lin, speaking gently. "Lin, have you ever heard anything strange in the house? Like someone calling you, or something like that?" Lin stopped humming, curiosity in her eyes. "Someone calling? No, but last night I had a weird dream. I dreamed about a lady in white, standing out in the fields, looking at our house." Nam's heart skipped a beat. He set his bowl down, his voice shaking. "What did she look like? Tell me." Lin tilted her head, thinking. "She wore a white dress, had long hair, but I couldn't see her face. She just stood there, looking at me. She didn't say anything. I got scared and woke up." Nam clenched his fists, forcing his tone to stay calm. It's just a dream. Lin, don't think about it too much. Keep playing, I'm going to Aunt Two's for a bit. Lin nodded and went back to humming. But Nam couldn't shake the unease. Her dream was exactly like his. He put on his conical hat and headed for Aunt Two's shop. His thoughts tangled like a knot. At the shop, Nam found Hung sitting in their usual corner, holding a glass of iced tea. The place was quiet today. Only a few old men playing Chinese chess at the next table. Hung looked up, spotted Nam, and waved. You're here. You look like you haven't slept in a week. Nam sat down and ordered his own iced tea. I didn't sleep, Hung. After the shrine last night, I kept hearing the whisper. And this morning, Lin told me she dreamed about the girl in white too. Hung's eyebrows shot up as he set his glass down. Lin? She dreamed it too? Tell me. Nam lowered his voice, as if afraid someone might overhear, and recounted Lin's dream. She saw the girl standing in the fields, looking at our house, exactly like my dream. You think maybe she's trying to reach me? Hung scratched his head, worry creeping into his expression. I don't know, Nam, but this is getting stranger. You want to go ask old Ba? He knows a lot about the shrine's history. Nam nodded, turning his glass in his hands. Yeah, I think we have to. I can't live in this fear anymore. Hung patted his shoulder with a half smile. All right, we'll go see him this afternoon. But be ready. He tells ghost stories in a way that'll give you chills. Nam smiled faintly, though it was forced. Thanks, Hung. I know you're scared too. But you're still coming with me. Hung smirked and took a sip of tea. Scared? Sure, but leaving you hanging isn't my style. See you this afternoon, don't you run off without me. That afternoon, Nam and Hung stood in front of Old Ba's house, a weathered wooden home at the edge of the village. Old Ba, a man in his 60s with snow-white hair, sat in a rattan chair chewing betel nut, his gaze fixed somewhere far away. When he saw the two boys, he smiled faintly, his voice deep and steady. What are you two doing here? Skipping cricket hunting to visit an old man like me? Nam stepped forward, speaking hesitantly. We wanted to ask you about the shrine at the village entrance. I heard someone died there. A long time ago. Old Ba stopped chewing and looked at Nam, his eyes sharper now. Why are you asking about that? Did something strange happen? Nam told him everything, from the dreams, to the white figure, to the whispers, and finally about what happened at the shrine the night before. Old Ba listened without interrupting, though his expression grew more serious with every word. When Nam finished, the old man let out a sigh and spat the betel juice into the yard. You're young, you shouldn't get tangled up in things like this. But if you've seen her, there's no avoiding it now. Hung leaned in, curiosity in his voice. So it's true, isn't it? A girl died there? Her spirit still around? Old Ba's eyes shifted toward the rice fields, his tone heavy with sadness. It was a long time ago, over 20 years. There was a girl named Mai who died near the shrine. She was young, only 18. The villagers said it was an accident, but some whispered she took her own life over something that broke her. Since then, the shrine's been abandoned. At night, people walking by sometimes see a white figure, hear whispers. Nam felt his heartbeat quicken. Mai, do you know what she wants? Old Ba shook his head, his gaze distant. No one knows, but if she's come to you, there's a reason. Don't go near the shrine anymore. You hear me? Restless spirits aren't like the living. Nam nodded, but deep down he knew he couldn't stop now. He thanked Old Ba, then left with Hung. On the way back, Hung glanced at him, worry in his voice. You heard what he said. Maybe we should stop. Nam, I don't want you getting into trouble. Nam shook his head, eyes fixed on the fields. I can't stop. Hung, I have to know who she is and what she wants. If I don't, I'll never have peace. That night, Nam lay on his bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. The whisper came again, clearer than ever. Nam, help me? He sat up and looked toward the window. Under the pale moonlight, the white figure stood in the middle of the field, closer than she had ever been, taking slow steps toward his house. Nam shot upright in bed, his breath quick and shallow, eyes locked on the window. In the silver glow of the moon, The white figure stood in the middle of the field, no more than a few dozen meters away. Her white dress fluttered in the wind, her long hair hiding her face. But Nam could feel the invisible gaze fixed directly on him. The whisper, "Nam, help me," was no longer a faint murmur but sharp and close, as if someone were speaking right into his ear. He gripped the blanket tightly, heart hammering, wanting to scream but finding his throat dry. "Nam?" Lin's small voice broke through the air from the corner of the room. She sat up, clutching her doll, her sleepy eyes clouded with worry. "What's wrong? I can hear you breathing so hard." Nam turned, forcing a smile. "It's nothing, Lin. I just had a dream. Go back to sleep, it's late." Lin frowned and glanced toward the window in the direction he'd been looking. "What were you looking at? You're scaring me." Nam quickly stood and pulled the curtain shut, blocking the view of the fields. "There's nothing there. Don't worry. Go to sleep. Tomorrow I'll take you to Aunt Tu's for pancakes." Lin nodded, but her eyes still held suspicion. She lay back down, hugging her doll, and slowly closed her eyes. Nam sat back on his bed, his hands trembling. He didn't dare open the curtain, didn't dare look outside, but the feeling of being watched clung to him, like an invisible shadow threading itself into every breath he took. The next morning, Nam woke early, dark circles under his eyes from a sleepless night. His mother, Lan, was in the yard tying bundles of vegetables, watching him with concern. "Nam, what's wrong with you? You're pale as a ghost. Tell me what's going on." Nam sat in the rattan chair, holding the bowl of porridge she had left for him. "I'm fine, just didn't sleep well." Lan stopped her work, looking him straight in the eye. "Don't hide things from me. You've been acting strange lately, like your mind's somewhere else. If something's wrong, tell me, I won't be angry." Nam took a spoonful of porridge, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm really fine, Mom, don't worry, I'm grown now." Lan sighed and went back to tying the vegetables. "Grown or not, you're still my son. I can tell when something's wrong. Eat, then come help me bring these to the market." Nam nodded, but inside his mind was in turmoil. He wanted to tell her about the white figure, the whispers, and what old Ba had told him, but he was afraid she'd think he'd lost his mind. Or worse, she'd forbid him from going out. And Nam knew he couldn't stop now. He had to learn more about Mai, and why she wouldn't leave him alone. At midday, Nam met Hung at Aunt Tu's shop. It was busier than usual, the chatter and laughter of a few older men playing Chinese chess filling the air. Hung sat in the corner with a glass of iced tea in hand, looking up as Nam walked in. "You look like the Walking Dead." "Nam, didn't sleep again last night?" Nam sat down, ordered an iced tea, and spoke wearily. "Yeah, couldn't sleep. Hung, I saw her again. Last night, she was near my house, right out in the middle of the fields." Hung set his glass down, eyes widening. "Near your house? Did you see her clearly? What was she doing?" Nam shook his head, turning his glass slowly on the table. "She just stood there, watching me. I heard her voice, asking me to help her." "Hung, I'm scared, but I also need to know who she is. What she wants." Hung scratched his head, his tone uneasy. "You heard what old Ba said. Her name's Mai. She died at the shrine. Why would you still want to get involved? This isn't something simple." Nam looked at him, his eyes steady. "I know, but I can't take it anymore. Every night she calls to me, appears in my dreams, and now in real life. I have to find out, or I'll lose my mind." Hung sighed, taking a sip of tea. "So what's your plan? Go back to the shrine? Or ask someone else?" Nam was quiet for a moment before speaking. "I want to talk to Granny Nam. She does offerings at another village shrine. Maybe she knows something about ours." Hung raised his eyebrows, then nodded. "Granny Nam, huh? She tells some scary ghost stories. But it's worth a try. I'll go with you this afternoon, just don't do anything stupid." Nam smiled faintly, grateful for Hung's company. "Thanks, I don't want to do this alone." Hung clapped him on the shoulder with a laugh. "Without me, you'd have bolted already. Meet me at Granny Nam's later, don't be late." That afternoon, Nam and Hung stood in front of Granny Nam's small thatched roof house at the edge of the village. The old woman, in her 70s, with neatly tied white hair, was sitting in the yard holding a bundle of incense, murmuring prayers. Seeing the two boys, she looked up and smiled. "What brings you here? Skipping playtime to see an old lady like me?" Nam stepped closer, speaking hesitantly. We wanted to ask you about the shrine at the village entrance. I saw something strange and wanted to know more." Granny Nam paused her chanting, fixing him with a sharp gaze. "Something strange? Tell me." Nam recounted everything, from the dreams, the white figure, and the whispers, to what happened at the shrine the other night. Hung chimed in, adding, "I didn't see anything, but I felt so cold, like someone was standing right behind me." Granny Nam listened, running her fingers along the incense bundle, her eyes darkening. "You saw the girl in white, didn't you? That's her spirit hasn't found peace. I've heard her story for years, but no one knows the full truth. People say she died unjustly, that there's something unresolved. If she's come to you, there's a reason." Nam felt his heart pound. "But what does she want? She keeps telling me to help her, but I don't know how." The old woman sighed, glancing toward the fields. "A restless spirit usually wants something set right. She might need you to uncover the truth. But I warn you, don't go too deep. Spirits aren't like the living. You can't predict them." Hung cut in, his voice uneasy. "But what if she keeps following Nam? Is there a way to get rid of her?" Granny Nam shook her head, her tone grave. "It's not that easy. If she's chosen Nam, then he'll have to find out what she wants. But be careful. Here, take this." She stood, went inside, and returned with a red cord tied around an old coin. "Wear it around your neck. It will protect you." Nam accepted the charm and thanked her, though his mind was still tangled. He and Hung headed back as dusk fell. On the way, Hung spoke seriously. "You heard her. You still want to keep going?" Nam nodded, fingers brushing the red cord. "I need to know, Hung, if she's and she died unjustly. I want to help. I don't want to live like this, always afraid." Hung sighed, patting his shoulder. "All right, I'm with you. But wear that charm, don't take it off." That night, Nam lay in bed, the red cord around his neck, the cold coin pressing against his skin. Lin slept soundly beside him, her breathing steady. He stared at the ceiling, trying not to think about the white figure, but the whisper came again, clearer than ever. "Nam, find me?" He sat up, looking toward the window. The curtain was drawn, but he could feel her presence just outside. He stood, pulled the curtain back, and there, in the middle of the field, the white figure stood motionless, closer than ever before. She lifted her head, and for the first time, Nam saw the eyes beneath her long hair, burning red, like two embers, staring straight at him. Nam stood frozen at the window, his eyes locked on the blazing red gaze of the white figure in the middle of the field. Under the dim moonlight, those eyes glowed like two flames, piercing through the curtain of long hair, staring straight at him without blinking. The whisper, "Nam, find me," drifted in, no longer vague or distant, but like a command, sharp and icy. The red string around his neck grew hot, as if the coin was trying to push back something invisible. Nam gripped it tightly, his heart pounding, wanting to turn away but feeling as though his feet were nailed to the floor. "Nam?" Lin's voice came from inside the room, small, but enough to snap him out of the trance. The little girl sat up, hugging her doll, her sleepy eyes filled with worry. "What are you doing standing there? I heard you mumbling something." Nam quickly pulled the curtain shut, hiding the field from view, and turned back to look at his sister. "It's nothing, Lin. I was just getting some fresh air. Go to sleep. It's late." Lin frowned, glancing at the curtain, then back at him. "You're acting strange. I'm scared. I dreamed of the lady in white again. She was looking at me." Her eyes red. Nam felt the blood in his veins turn to ice. He walked over, sat beside Lin, and gently patted her head. "It's just a dream, Lin. Don't be scared. I'm here." She nodded, though her eyes still showed panic. "Don't go outside at night, okay? I don't want anything to happen to you." Nam smiled, trying to keep his voice calm. "All right, I promise. Now sleep. Tomorrow I'll buy you Bon Exio." Lin lay back down, hugging her doll, slowly closing her eyes. Nam sat there for a while, listening to her steady breathing. but his mind was tangled like a knotted thread. The red eyes of the white figure, of Mai, still haunted him. She wasn't just a ghost, she felt like she was pulling him toward a deep, hidden secret. He touched the red string again, the coin was still warm. As if echoing Mrs. Nam's words, spirits are not like the living. The next morning, Nam woke with a heavy head. His mother had already gone to the market early, leaving a pot of chicken porridge on the stove. Carrying a bowl out to the porch, he sat on the rattan chair, staring absent-mindedly at the fields. The morning sunlight made the rice glisten, but the peace didn't reach him. Every time he looked out at the field, he feared seeing the white figure, even now. In daylight, "Nam, you going to Aunt Tu's shop?" Hung's voice called from the alley. His best friend approached, holding a cricket cage, grinning like always. "I just beat tea in a match, felt great." "Come on, I'm buying iced tea." Nam nodded, standing up. "Yeah, let's go. I need to get out anyway." On the way, Hung glanced at him and frowned. "You didn't sleep again, did you? You look like you've been possessed." "What now? You saw her again?" Nam sighed, his fingers brushing the red string on his neck. "Yeah, last night, near my house. This time, I saw her eyes, bright red, like fire. And Lin dreamed about her too. Saw the same eyes." Hung stopped walking, eyes widening. "Lin too? Are you serious? This isn't normal." "Nam, have you told Mrs. Nam?" Nam shook his head and kept walking. "Not yet, but I think I have to go back to her. I can't take this anymore. She keeps appearing, keeps calling me. I have to know what she wants." Hung scratched his head, worry in his voice. "I'll go with you. But listen, don't do anything reckless. Mrs. Nam said spirits are dangerous, don't forget that." Nam nodded, but deep down, he knew he couldn't stop. Those blazing red eyes, that whisper, it was like a curse, pulling him into a world he couldn't escape. At Aunt Tu's shop, Nam and Hung sat in their usual corner. The shop was quiet today. Only Aunt Tu wiping tables and an older man sipping coffee. Hung took a sip of iced tea and eyed Nam. "What do you think she, Mai, wants? If Mrs. Nam is right and she died unjustly, what are you going to do? Dig up her grave?" Nam chuckled, but it was forced. "You've watched too many movies." "I don't know, Hung, but I feel she doesn't want to hurt me. Her voice, when she calls me, it's not angry. It's like pleading." Hung frowned and set his glass down. "Pleading? My grandma used to say ghosts are good at pretending. Don't let her fool you." Nam shook his head, staring down into his tea. "I don't think she's pretending. I can feel it, Hung, like she's trapped, and she needs me for something. I want to ask Mrs. Nam more, maybe she knows a way." Hung sighed, patting Nam's shoulder. "All right, we'll go see her this afternoon. But promise me, don't go doing anything stupid. I don't want to have to look for you in the middle of the field at midnight." Nam smiled, grateful. "Yeah, I promise. Thanks."